Do you want to read more, but you can't ever seem to find the right time, the right book? You're always on your phone. If that is you, keep watching because I have 4 tips for you to keep on reading in your life. Hi, readers, and welcome back to Lit for Queers. I usually give you tips and recommendations for queer books, but today I want to talk about a topic that I think affects a lot of us and a lot of people that might not consider themselves readers as much, but they would like to make reading a part of their lives. And I think I can help. I am not one of those readers that gets through 130 or 150 books a year. That is just not me. But I do usually get a solid 50 to 80 books a year. And these are my foolproof ways to make sure I do that. And let me be clear here, I do not do it because I have a blog. I do not read for content. I do not read as a job. I have a full-time job. I have a part-time job on top of that I absolutely love. Don't worry about it. And I have tons of hobbies and I have a stable relationship. And these are all things that I pride myself in balancing very well. And reading is a part of myself that has never changed. I've been a big reader since I was a child. So that has always been a big part of me. But even if you haven't been a reader for your entire life and you want to understand how to make sure that reading becomes an essential part of your life, whatever types of books you read, whether it's nonfiction, it's fiction, it's poetry, it's young adult, whatever it is, these 4 tips have helped me make sure that I get to my reading goal and that I make my reading sustainable. So let's get into these 4 tips. The first tip that I have for you is very simple, but actually one of the hardest to follow in a sense, which is pick the books that you actually are drawn to. What do I mean by this? I mean, do not go off of influencers' words alone. Do not go off of Reese's book club and Oprah's book club, not alone. Do not ever take somebody's opinion on a book as a sign from whatever divine being is out there that you will enjoy it. You know your tastes best and you know best what mood you're in. So, what I mean is that you should actually go ahead, go to the library, go online, go to the bookshop, and actually spend time reading the blurb of said books. Because it is only through that you will understand whether you like it or not. And you will not end up being disappointed by books and being bored by books the majority of the time. This is not obviously foolproof in the sense that you might still stumble across books that you thought you'd enjoy, but you just don't. Because that sometimes is the case. But I guarantee you that if you stop following the trends, if you stop following the hypes, you will find better books for yourself out there. Tip number 2, which is actually tied to tip number 1, is DNF books. Do it. Do it. Just do it. And if you're not familiar with what DNF means, it just means do not finish or did not finish. And it means that you are not finishing that book that is not bringing you joy. I know that sometimes this is really hard if you've spent money on a book, which is why I always recommend using libraries where you can or free resources where you can. I'm not about to tell anybody what to do to find books, but if you're not sure if you're going to like something and you might DNF it and you know that you're short of money or you're looking at your budget, make sure that you DNFing things is low stakes. Because I know for sure that it's absolutely frustrating and really kind of like soul crushing in a sense to spend your hard earned money on a book that you don't enjoy. And then what are you going to do? You're basically going to finish it, aren't you? Or you're going to trying to push yourself to finish it and end up disappointed. So go through whatever means necessary to make sure that you can DNF books. Use Vinted, go to secondhand shops and look at the blurbs on those books and see if you like something for, £1 or $2, whatever it is. Make sure that you get comfortable with DNFing books. I can give you an example. I'm gonna name names. I picked up this romance novel called, I think it's called My Beautiful Mistake or something like that by Marianne Keyes. I saw this book at the bookstore and I was like, okay, like I don't think I'm gonna buy this because I don't read romance that much. And so I found it at the library. I ordered it, went to pick it up. Yesterday, which was Sunday, I sat on the couch with my tea. I was ready for it. 4 pages in, I turned to my boyfriend and I'm like, I can't do this. Like this is not hitting it. And I've learned enough about my own tastes and about what books I consider good and I consider thrilling and I consider, something that is going to hit me and stay with me, that I do not have time for mediocre books. In 2025, we're walking away from mediocrity. You do not want that. And it might be that you pick up the same book and you love it, and that is okay. Books are very subjective, and you will like different types of books at different stages of your life, which is perfectly fine. But because I had no stakes in this entire process, I got it from the library, right? So I just put it down and picked up the next book, which is a lot better. I'm halfway through that, and it's a lot better. The tip number 3, and this is where we're getting real. You need to lock your phone away. It is the damn phones. It is the damn phones. We are incredibly addicted to dopamine. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of studies documenting how poorly our attention span is getting or has gotten over the last 20 years. And I am sorry to say that part of it is phones. A few weeks ago or a few months ago, I don't remember, I made the mistake or I actually went through my Instagram usage. And I kid you not, it was 16 hours a week. Now, 16 hours a week might not be a lot to you. Like you might be looking at the consumption of your Instagram and all the social media and think, oh, that's kind of about like mine, but I don't think it's too much. You do you. But I felt like I could use those 16 hours a lot better in a more productive way. And the thing is, if you feel like you relate to this, please continue watching this. I felt like even when I was reading, at one point I would be like, I feel like I need a little something more spice. Spice, I mean like something different, like something that hits immediately, because literature and books do not give you that dopamine hit immediately. It's a longer process. It's not a TikTok video, it's not a YouTube short, it's not Instagram, right? It's not like flashy images, it's not music, it's not all of these different voices. It is not. It is pages and written. It is words written on a page and your mind processing them and making their own pictures, right? That is very different than just scrolling on Instagram or TikTok. So what I do is that I try to lock my phone in another room or just leave it in another room. If I'm reading on the couch, my phone could be in the dining room or could be charging in my bedroom, but it has helped so much. So much because it forces you to focus on one thing, and that thing is reading. And I cannot honestly recommend this enough. This has literally been the savior of my reading habits, basically. And fourth and last tip is to actually make time to read. By this, I mean that reading, especially if it hasn't been always a thing in your life, needs to be intentional. And by intentional, I mean that when you're on the train, when you're on the bus, if you can read on the bus, if you are waiting at the dentist, you're waiting at the hairdresser, you have a book or your Kindle or your Kobo, whatever it is, with you. Instead of reaching for your phone and scrolling on social media, you make time to read. Same thing, even if you don't go anywhere, you don't have any waiting times, you don't have any commute, whatever it is, you need to make time to read. Even if it's a couple of pages, even if it's a chapter, little by little, steady, you will achieve whatever goal you've put for yourself in terms of reading. Every night I read. Without fault, I read. And doesn't matter if it's 5 pages, if it's a couple of pages, that helps me so much. And those 5 pages, whatever it is, they do help. Like, they make up a book. You don't have to go from 0 books to 50 in a year if this is your first year where you're trying to get into reading more. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're reading 500 pages book and you get through 1 book a year. It's something. It is something. Do not compare yourself to others when it comes to this. But it is important that you make reading intentional. It's really frustrating to see how much we are drawn to our phones and to social media and literally anything else. And we struggle with some things that are slower and like don't release as much dopamine. So obviously these are all tied together, but I think this is really important. If you can bring a book or your Kindle with you wherever you go, I highly recommend doing that. There's so many times where I technically take the bus to somewhere, to the nearby city to go and do my hobbies, my circus school or my whatever it is. And I think, well, on the bus, I can't really read. But then I am stuck waiting for the other bus on my way back, and that's suddenly 10 minutes that I have that are free. And if I didn't have a book with me, I would probably just scroll on social media. But I do have a book with me, and so I will go for that. Same thing for the train, or same thing for when I go to the hairdresser or the dentist, or you're waiting for anything, for your friends as well. You have 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you have your book in your purse, in your backpack, whatever it is. It helps so much. It makes reading intentional because it's not just another hobby these days, because we are thrown a lot more exciting hobbies rather than reading. And the action of reading itself kind of gets lost within that. And I'm all for communities, and obviously I'm on social media as well. Like, I have an Instagram account for Lit for Queers, I have a blog, all of that. I love talking to people about books. But to talk to people about books, you actually have to read them. If you never make time to read books, you're not going to build that community either, or you're not going to be part of that community either. So these are my 4 foolproof, at least they've been foolproof for me, tips to read more, to incorporate reading more into your life. Let me know if you have any other tips. Share them in the comments so that we can help each other and people can get into this amazing hobby a lot faster and without any guilt. So there you have it. These are my 4 tips to read more in your life. And I will see you soon. Until then, stay strong, read, and put down your phone. Bye.